Welcome back to Sawdust and Brushstrokes. Today I will be showing you how to transform a picture of a home into a beautiful painting. Start by gathering several photos of the home. This particular home had trees in front of it, so I needed several shots to be able to see what was behind the trees. Your next step is to choose which picture you'd like to create your painting from. On this picture, you will use your ruler to measure how tall it is and how wide it is, and then transfer those measurements to your paper. Before I transferred the measurements over, I found the center of my paper. I also included other measurements like the bottom of the roof line, the end of the porch, where the posts were on the porch with the windows, just to make sure that everything was lined up. Although I do use a lot of measurements, some things I do eyeball, like the angles of the middle part of the house. I did eyeball those. Technically, I probably should have measured that too. Now that I'm finished sketching, now it's time to start painting. For this painting, I didn't use a lot of colors. Since it's a white house, all I used was black and a little bit of water to make all the shading on the white part of the house. For the really dark shadows and the roof, I used more black. For the windows, I made my black even more intense. At this point, I'm not worried about the window panes. Later on, I'll go over the black with a white gel pen to make all the window panes. And I'll actually use a black pen to make the windows even more sharper on the points. For the fireplace, I painted the background a light brown, and later on I added the rocks. At this point, I went and added more shadows onto the white part. For the rocks of the fireplace, I just used different colors of brown just to make it look more natural. For the grass, I added a light shade of yellow, and for the sky, a light shade of blue. After that, I added dark shadows to each side of the house where the trees would be, and I used black for the driveway. This next part is probably my favorite part. I go around the whole house outlining the different features. I make the windows, the lines really nice and crisp, and the points really clear. And then I'll take a white gel pen later on and I'll start making the panes. doing here is I'm taking a ruler and a pencil and I'm drawing all the siding. Now I'm adding more shading to the roof. I use a green for all the bushes. For the trees, I used a very dark brown. It's actually almost black in some places. A trick I've found with trees is just to make sure that you start out thick and you get thinner as you go to the top. Never make the bottom thinner than the top part. For the leaves of the tree, I just used a bigger brush and I watered down some green and just kind of tapped it onto the end of the branches. I also added a little more green to the grass, and I added another bush to the side that had a little more yellow in it. The last thing I do is sign my name very small underneath the house. Here's the finished product. I love how it turned out. I know that this will be a wonderful keepsake for someone for years to come.